Nothing to see here, folks. Just a robot dog with a freaking machine gun attached to its back. You know, probably one of the crazier things about this clip, which is just going viral over the last 48 hours or so on Twitter, which, by the way, was uploaded to YouTube a couple of months ago, but it really didn't get any attention, and that's the crazy part, which is because this is not some new announcement from DARPA or some new showcasing by the Army to show what they're working on. No. This was just some guy who ordered one of the dogs offline and had the skills and the know-how to affix a machine gun to it. But obviously this paints a picture of a dystopian, nightmarish future of warfare. But what may actually surprise you guys is what you just saw there is really just child's play. Again, that's what somebody developed in their garage, but this is old news. This is something that's already been in development for quite some time. As we see here, they're putting guns on robot dogs now. This is back in October of 2021. Look at this thing. Quadrupedal dogs, robots, are one of the most interesting developments in robotics in recent years. They're small, nimble, and able to traverse environments that frustrate wheeled machines. So, of course, it was only a matter of time until someone put a gun on one. And here it is, guys, looking pretty scary. Of course, here, working together with humans in warfare. And eventually, folks, as I've talked about for many years on this channel, the machine and the man will merge into this transhumanism movement, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But speaking of that, I wanted to touch briefly on this. A brain-computer startup has just beat Elon Musk's Neuralink to implanting its first device in a U.S. patient. And here they are. By the way, Neuralink is now falling apart because of this. A Neuralink co-founder has left Elon Musk's brain chip company, leaving it with just 2 of its founding members. So it looks like Neuralink is on the way out, and these guys, Synchron, are on the way in. So we're going to talk about all of that, guys, in this video. But the big story of today that I wanted to bring to your attention is this. Sri Lanka is now implementing a QR code, a digital ID, in order for you to get fuel as they ration their fuels. Sri Lanka has begun forcing citizens to use a QR code in order to access gas pumps as part of a nationwide fuel rationing scheme. The policy was introduced by the Sri Lankan Minister of Power and Energy, Kanjanka Wickremesinghe, at the behest of Sri Lanka's new president, Ranil Wickremesinghe, I don't know how to pronounce it, a member and agenda contributor to, guess who? The World Economic Forum. Out with the old, in with the new. This is the same kind of person as the last, being controlled by the World Economic Forum. Now implementing a QR code digital ID for fuel rationing system. in Sri Lanka. Guys, we're going to talk about all that and much, much more in this video. But just before we do, I'd ask that you check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate. If you do appreciate my efforts to bring you this info really quickly, guys, you can go to PayPal here with one click on that banner. You can contribute Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies by going there. I'm on a Subscribestar, which is a great Patreon alternative since I was kicked off there. This is also a Patreon alternative where you can sign up for a monthly recurring contribution, guys. Any amount is greatly appreciated. You can also send an e-transfer to dan@pressfortruth.ca, or if you like to keep things old school like I do, I accept cash or checks or equipment or simply just words of encouragement. All that can be sent to my P.O. Box, guys. Links for all of it are located in the description below. Thank you to everybody who has taken the time to contribute to my efforts. All right, so Neuralink seems to be falling apart because of founding members leaving and some of them going on to actually fund the rivalry startup companies. As we see here, Neuralink, Elon Musk's neurotechnology company, which wants to put AI-enabled computer chips into people's brains, has lost another of its founding members. Reuters first reported that Neuralink co-founder Paul Morella had departed in recent weeks. By the way, another executive at Neuralink, who Musk recently announced that he had twins with, is also one of the ones who left. Morella then confirmed this post on his LinkedIn. He said he decided to leave Neuralink to pursue a new project, which is still in stealth, he says, but it was a difficult decision to leave the company that he helped to found. I hope I get a chance to work with Neuralink once again in some capacity. I look forward to seeing our work improve the lives of patients who suffer from brain injury, he said. Two sources familiar with the matter told Reuters that Neuralink has lost 6 out of the 8 founding members, leaving Musk and his engineer, who goes by DJ. That's the only 2 guys left. Here we see that the Neuralink president, who left the company back in May of 2021, he actually invested in a rival neurotechnology startup company, Synchron. Synchron has now beaten Neuralink to human trials. It received the green light for human testing from the Federal Drug Administration in July of 2021 and announced just this week that it has implemented its first device into a U.S. patient. Neuralink is working to develop an AI chip, artificial intelligence in the brain. Gee, what can go wrong? That could be implemented into a person's skull with electrodes fanning out into the brain. These electrodes would be ample to monitor and potentially stimulate brain activity. Again, what could possibly go wrong with monitoring brain activity? Could that potentially get into the hands of some of the wrong people? And could this technology be abused? Nah, surely not at the hands of a good guy like Elon Musk, right? The company has said the first use case it's working towards is allowing quadriplegic people to control devices with their minds. Sounds kind of noble, but still pretty freaking scary at the same time. Musk has touted more far-fetched future applications for the technology, saying he believes it could facilitate symbiosis between humans and artificial intelligence. Again, we're venturing into the sphere of transhumanism, which I will touch on at great length later on in this video. Now, Neuralink has yet to begin human trials. Musk said that during a live interview back in 2021 that the company was hoping to do it by 2022. He previously said he was going to do it in 2020 and then 2021, now 2022. Just keeps getting pushed on. And perhaps this is why the new guys are, fast tracking, beating him on the scene. But what's their whole shtick? You got to get a load of this, guys. Synchron, a brain-computer interface startup, reportedly implanted its first device in a U.S. patient earlier this month, overtaking Elon Musk's Neuralink for the 3rd time. The startup implanted a 1.5-inch device into the brain of an ALS patient at Mount Sinai West Medical Center in New York on July 6th. A spokesperson from Synchron did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The purpose of the device is to allow the patient to communicate even after they've lost the ability to move by using their thoughts to send emails and texts. Again, when we're talking about technology that's going to send the things that you are thinking to a computer, don't you think if that technology got into the wrong hands, it could be massively, massively abused, ladies and gentlemen? And again, we're going to get into the specifics of how that would all work. Let's continue. Bloomberg reported that Synchron had already implanted the device in 4 patients in Australia who had been able to use the brain implant to send messages on WhatsApp and shop online. So that's pretty incredible and scary at the same time. Last year, the Australian-based startup received permission from the US FDA to begin human trials in 6 patients who have been severely paralyzed. In 2019, the company implanted its device into its first human patient in Melbourne, Australia. Meanwhile, Neuralink has yet to receive FDA approval, though Musk had predicted that the company could begin human trials as early as 2020, and then recently 2021, and then again 2022. The announcement came after the Billion co-founder shared a video of a monkey playing a video game using only its mind via a Neuralink brain chip. So they're already onto it. They're just waiting for human trials. But again, Synchron has beat them to the punch. Earlier this year, the co-founder and former president of Neuralink revealed he invested in Synchron after leaving Musk's startup. Synchron and Neuralink implants have similar immediate applications, but get this, guys. They're both designed to translate human thoughts into computer commands and could help patients with neurological diseases like Parkinson's or ALS. However, Musk's goals for Neuralink appear to be slightly more ambitious. In the past, he claimed the brain-machine interface could give people telepathic powers and make humans symbiotic with artificial intelligence, referring to the device as a Fitbit in your skull. Neuralink and Synchron's products have several key differences, and this is wild, namely size and installation. The Australian startup's product can be inserted into a human skull without cutting into it, using a catheter that feeds the device through the jugular vein into a blood vessel in the brain. The process requires 2 separate surgeries. In contrast, Neuralink plans to make a much smaller and more powerful device that would require a portion of the individual's skull to be moved and would be performed using a robot. Does this not sound like a science fiction dystopian movie? But here we are. This is what they're actually experimenting with in the real world, guys. And, again, we're going to talk about where this is potentially leading to. But before we do, I want to get into some of the things that Big Brother are doing today that are absolutely mind-boggling, and how we have to understand if we can see it there, we can certainly see it coming here as well. As we said, this is the newly, selected leader of Sri Lanka now, and following the overthrowing of their government due to the absolutely economic turmoil that has happened at the hands of their government, who is controlled largely by the World Economic Forum. Well, out with the old, in with the new, same old, and just look what they're starting to implement over there. After initial technical issues, Fuel Pass QR systems was successfully tested today. The pilot project will continue before going national next week. Last digital number plate fuel quota will ease the fuel lines in the next few days, with distribution speeding up island-wide. He said in a tweet, "I thank the fuel station owners who supported the public that adopted and assisted forces and volunteers that assisted in the implementing of it. Some fuel stations didn't adopt it, some individuals manipulated or falsified their QR codes and did not want this implemented. However, it will be enforced island-wide." Introduction to the National Fuel Pass will be held at 12:30. A guaranteed weekly fuel quota will be allocated. 1 vehicle per 1 NIC QR code allocated once vehicle chassis numbers and details have been verified 2 days of the week, according to the last digit number of their plate for fueling. This is unreal. So as per the fuel quota policies, Sri Lankans will have to apply with their national ID card and their numbers. Once their ID and their details have been verified, then they will be signed a QR code so that they can access gas at pumps across the country. Sri Lankans will then be made to take turns to get fuel based on the last digit of their vehicle registration numbers. However, tourists and foreigners will be given priority to get fuel in Colombo, the largest city in Sri Lanka, likely to avoid even more damage to Sri Lanka's tourism industry. And that really says a lot, guys, about the new guy in town who's running the show and how much he really cares about the people of Sri Lanka when tourists and foreigners are given priority over the people of Sri Lanka so as to keep the tourism industry going. That is just shocking. Armed guards are reportedly assisting with implementing the QR code digital ID fuel rationing program. They were also previously deployed to gas stations and equipped with military-grade weapons to prevent those with non-essential vehicles from purchasing gas, guys. In May, Sri Lanka's energy sector came to the point of total collapse and has continued a downward trajectory ever since. And as I said, if you don't think this can come here to the West, you better think again, folks, because we've been looking to these nations who have fallen many times as a blueprint for what comes here, and then it does. It all starts to unfold just as, you know, we predict. And right now what we're seeing is in real time what's currently happening today, how the system of Big Brother is encroaching more and more on the lives of the people of Sri Lanka. But in the not so distant future, as we see here with the development of, you know, these brain chips and Neuralink, and Synchron now getting the contract and being allowed to do this, I think we're going to see this go into an even crazier, insanely dystopian nightmare that the likes of which you couldn't have even imagined. And as I said, this all has to do with the transhumanism movement of merging man with machine. Elon Musk wants Neuralink to do it with brain chips implanted in the brain that would be artificially intelligent, and apparently sees no issue with that. Well, I've been exposing the dangers of the transhumanism movement for years, and I wanted to point you back to a solid research piece that I did over 5 years ago. Now, lately, a few people have been saying on this channel, you know, Dan, why do you keep doing these throwbacks? Why do you keep showing these, you know, old videos that you've done like 5-6 years ago? And the reason why is because I am currently posting on about a dozen platforms right now, none of which I were back then. I have a lot of new followers all over the place, and a lot of new people, even on YouTube for that matter, if you happen to be watching that here, who have never seen any of this. So I think it is important every now and then to touch back on some of the important work that has been done when it's going largely unnoticed by a new audience who needs to see it the most. Now, if you've been around, as I said, the video I want to show you now was posted, I think, almost 6 years ago. So if you've been a loyal viewer since then, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for still sticking around and supporting my work. If you want, you can just skip ahead. I think the video is 8 minutes long if you've already seen it. But I'd advise you, if you've already seen it, to watch it again, because there's useful information in here now, and you may know a lot more now than you did back when I first released this piece. So I want to share with you a video I did called The Race for AI Exposed, How Transhumanism Technology is Leading the Third Revolution in Warfare. A very important piece, and then we'll come back and finish out this video. So check that one out, guys, and then hit me back right up here as soon as you're done. Here it is. This is Dan Dix here, reporting for Press for Truth. It's been said before that technology is a double-edged sword, and following the development of gunpowder in the 9th century, and then nuclear weapons in the 20th century, the race for artificial intelligence now in the 21st century does have the potential to put the gears in motion for a global technological world war. So in this video, we're going to delve deep into the transhumanist agenda and how the goal is less to do about how we can use robots to enhance our lives, but rather it has everything to do with turning us, human beings, into controllable, programmable robots ourselves, incapable of escaping the cloud. Elon Musk, founder of OpenAI, a company that works on fundamental advances in AI capabilities, and Neuralink, a company that develops implantable brain and computer interfaces, recently tweeted the following. He says, "It begins," and he posted that with a link to this article. And he followed that up by stating the following. China, Russia, soon all countries with strong computer science. Competition for AI superiority at national level, most likely cause of World War III, in my opinion. And the article that he links to has the headline, "Putin says the nation that leads in AI will be the ruler of the world. The article goes on to say, Russian President Vladimir Putin has joined the war of words concerning the international race to develop artificial intelligence. Speaking to students last Friday, Putin predicted that whichever country leads the way in AI research will come to dominate global affairs. Artificial intelligence is the future, not only for Russia, but for all humankind, said Putin. It comes with colossal opportunities, but also threats that are difficult to predict. Whoever becomes the leader in this sphere will become the ruler of the world. But just who is on the cusp and on the forefront of developing artificial intelligence technology? Well, the Chinese have stated that they have ambitions to become the world's leader in AI by 2030. However, the evidence would suggest that it is indeed the United States who are leading the charge through the militarization of its alphabet company known as Google. Now, before we look at where all of this is heading, we first have to look at where this all began. DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, launched in 1958 with the goals of making pivotal investments in breakthrough technologies for national security. Now, they have most notably influenced many non-military fields, such as computer networking and the basis for the modern internet, and graphical user interfaces in information technology. Now, here are just a few projects that DARPA is currently working on or has developed. We have CTS, or combat zones that see. The goal is to track everything that moves in a city by linking up a massive network of surveillance cameras to a centralized computer system. Artificial intelligence software would then identify and track all movement throughout the city. They're also developing remote-controlled animals. These are sometimes called bio-robots or robo-animals, and they can be considered cyborgs as they do combine electronic devices with an organic life form. And they're also working on developing brain implants. Often referred to as neural implants, are technological devices that connect directly to a biological subject's brain, with many of these experiments being carried out on people in the military. So DARPA has been leading the way on technological advancements that are mingling robots and technology with the human mind. And the leader of all of this, the director of DARPA, a woman by the name of Regina E. Duggan, has recently left the company to join Google, and then she left Google to join Facebook. Regina E. Duggan is an American businesswoman, inventor, and technology developer. She served as the 19th director of DARPA, and in March of 2012, she left government to take an executive role at Google. Just prior to the acquisition, it was announced that she would create and lead the Advanced Technology and Projects, or ATAP, group at Google, owned by Motorola Mobility. And in 2016, she left Google and joined Facebook. And she's going to lead the newly formed team called Building 8. So the technological ideas of DARPA in regards to transhumanism and the merging of man and machine are now making its way into the fabrics of society through Google and Facebook. We are being sold on the idea that merging man and machine is going to provide convenience, and our lives are going to be better off and will be more enhanced with this technology. The goal is to first get us addicted to using these devices, then get us used to wearing these devices on our hand in the form of a watch, or on our forehead in the form of glasses. And eventually, they'll have us implanting these devices, for our convenience, of course. And alas, the transhumanism agenda will almost be complete. But of course, microchips are so 1990s. Today, it's all about nanorobotics that DARPA has developed into what is now called smart dust technology, where tiny micro-electromechanical systems can potentially be inhaled or even rubbed into the skin instead of implanted. And just as a quick side note, I recently switched from using this as a deodorant to using an all-natural deodorant, which is much, much better. And I was reading the back just to compare, and look what Old Spice decided to write on the back. Contains odor-fighting atomic robots that shoot lasers at your stench monsters and replaces them with fresh, clean, masculine scent elves. odor-fighting atomic robots that shoot lasers at your stench monsters? What kind of nonsense is this? Now, I'm not suggesting that there is nanobot technology in here, but what I am suggesting is this is some deep-seated psychological conditioning, which really amounts to nothing more than predictive programming. And now, with the development of the cloud, they're seeking to merge the machine man with this system for the ultimate purposes of control through a global surveillance state. And this brings us back to where we started with this video with Elon Musk, who now dreams of building a Wi-Fi hotspot that's going to cover the entire planet so that when this system is implemented, there will be no escape from Big Brother's all-seeing, all-watchful eye. The coming 5G global network is going to make it impossible to escape the system, especially when we're connected directly to it through nanobot technology. But there is good news today, my friends, because here's the catch. As it is today, you're not forced to use a smartphone. Being on Facebook or Twitter or the internet in general is still an option. We don't have to be here if we don't want to be. And in fact, we've been tricked into voluntarily giving up all of our information openly to Big Brother. So as we continue to push forward and technology inevitably advances, we're going to have to find a balance between how we can both utilize technology but also stay disconnected from it on a biological level. I'd encourage you to take the 2-day electronic detox challenge and see how you feel after going just a couple of days without any Wi-Fi or exposure to radio signals or any screens of any kind, and I think you'll be quite surprised at just how good you'll feel. Alright guys, crazy times indeed. Thank you so much for sticking around and for continuing to watch the rest of this video. Leave your thoughts on all of this in the comments section below, and if you did make it all the way to this point where you're hearing these words right now, maybe you could start your comments. We'll kind of troll and play around with the people who never actually watched the full video, and you can just call me some other name, like maybe Fred. Just say nice work, Fred, and then if you guys comment calling me Fred, that'll kind of freak out people who didn't make it to the end of the video, and then maybe they will learn to continue watching till the end of the video. Thank you guys for you who are doing that. And also, don't forget to check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate if you appreciate my efforts to continuously bring you this information. And that's all for today, guys. I want to thank you once again for tuning in. Don't forget to share this video, click that thumbs up button, and stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.